A major top is forming that I think many people have been waiting for, and we're going to be going over what that likely means for the crypto space, as well as, of course, Bitcoin here too. I expect that this video might be a little bit more on the shorter side, but that's all good. And we can just actually start off with the hard-hitting information of the day. Looking at the weekly for Dixie, representing the dollar index right here, we do see our first major signal of a potential reversal, or at least some short and medium term downside after a absolutely screaming rally since, September of 2024. It's been straight up, as you can see. Anyways, I wanted to bring up a couple of things here. The weekly time frame is seeing momentum also just starting to turn down, and that is now bleeding into the bi-weekly time frame, which is actually not closing this week, but will be closing next week. Anyways, if we do see the bi-weekly officially turn down, which it will, if we do see any closure below 108 spot 0, let's just call it 0.55 or so, which it's around right now. I mean, it's just like a small hair of around right now. Then we will officially see the bi-weekly stochastic oscillator cross the downside. And here's the last 3 times that we've seen it cross the downside around that critical zone, and especially coming down below the critical zone, which was essentially this major downside move over here in November of 2022. You already know what happened after that. Then, of course, over here in November of 2023, that's actually strange that it's literally just a year apart pretty much. And then again in July, most recently, this one obviously not getting above the critical zone, but all of these forcing, a down segment for Dixie price action. So, the idea here, of course, is that the dollar strength going down, it benefits obviously assets which are traded against the dollar. So your dollars are worth a little bit less. They can afford to buy less of the asset that you want. Thus, the asset's value kind of in a way artificially goes up. I mean, it is real, of course, but I do think that is, it's hard not to think of that, that way, at least a little bit. So does that benefit Bitcoin or does that benefit crypto? I think it very likely will if this relationship does hold. We have seen, of course, general market rallies whenever Dixie has come down in an epic fashion. And seen as this one, even if you're super bullish on it, still, I would be looking for a bit of downside here and likely to put in a higher low if it is going to do that at all. Of course, we do see the next major area of interest to the downside is around about 105.35, 105.40-ish region. So, that is a pretty large move for Dixie, which can obviously affect, all markets, Bitcoin included. And of course, this kind of makes a lot of sense, actually, with at least what I've been hearing from the incoming people in the Trump administration who, are dealing with these sort of things like the Treasury and whatnot. And these guys, Besnet and Lutnick, they both seem to kind of be talking down the dollar, at least from what I can gather during their speeches. And I'm not a fucking political analyst or anything or it's not even political analyst, but a fundamental analyst in this way. I'm not at all. I am learning, but it seems to me that they really understand the relationship of how this works, and that the strong dollar, which it has been for the past few months here, just straight up, is going to be a bargaining tool when I suspect that Trump wants to, negotiate with nations as he comes back into power here. So again, I'm not making a political statement on this. Just it is what it is, and we can play it as as it is. So, looking at Bitcoin, I did want to very, very quickly remind myself that $100,000 is the line in the sand here. As long as Bitcoin's above there, I'm generally going to be bullish. If Bitcoin loses $100,000, I do think that you could see a pretty nasty downside move, at least $95,000. And personally, I think that you would see a move somewhere around 91 to 92. So that is, a very large move. But as of right now, obviously Bitcoin is well above $100,000. In fact, yesterday closing the day with a massive green dildo, which is good to see. But when we go over the higher term time frame stochastic oscillators, it does become very apparent that if Bitcoin is going to break out, if Bitcoin is going to continue this rally, you expect it sooner rather than later, like this week, next week. not later. The longer that it stalls here, the more and more likely that it does play another downside range move. But daily stochastic momentum is going to be positioned to the upside as long as CME is above 103,350. So right now, healthily above that number. The 2-day time frame also freshly to the upside as long as Bitcoin is above actually 96,550. So it's got a lot of leeway there. 3-day time frame is freshly crossing up, or potentially going to freshly cross up upon tomorrow's closure, assuming that Bitcoin is above, again, 103,200 in this case. The 5-day time frame, which is also closing tomorrow, by the way, is pivoted at 101,650, which Bitcoin is, healthily above right now. And of course, the weekly is also going to turn up at the end of this week if Bitcoin closes above 102,300. So and even the 10-day, by the way, will turn up above 106,750, but that's not closing anytime soon. So with all of these kind of positioned in the same direction on the relatively higher term timeframes, I would be looking for Bitcoin. If you're going to be bullish, this is the move. This is the fucking move. If Bitcoin flounders around here, maybe even by the end of this week and really doesn't make a nice leg up, that's going to be indicative to me that Bitcoin is continuing to play out this general massive range that we've been in for the past couple of months. And, you're probably going to see price action back down around, like I said, at least 95 and probably even 91 or 92. But until then, I still have the same sort of disposition that I had yesterday and the day before. As long as Bitcoin is above $100,000 on a daily closing basis, I'm going to be bullish, and not because it's guaranteed, but because trend, and the trend is your friend, and the trend has been to the upside. So better to bet on an upside continuation. At some point that will fail. However, I don't think that Bitcoin is immune to bear markets no more or anything like that. But at least for now, I still remain with an overall bullish bias. And in the short term, if Bitcoin wants to pull back down to about 104, that's fine. That's fine. Again, anything above $100,000 is fine. Below $100,000, not fine. If you want to make it just as abundantly clear as possible. Anyways, we've gotten through that. Let me get into the next chart. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty rudimentary analysis today, but the 5-day time frame, as we just looked at, again, is closing tomorrow night for CME. And I just wanted to highlight here that the 5 day is going to have a chance to reclaim the median on the 5-day HPDR for the first time since this correction really got underway, which was I guess like December. So that would be of significance. Now it would imply that things must close above, let's just call it, a little bit above $103,000. So we see so many fucking things coming in around that 103 number, which does make me also consider that, hey, if Bitcoin comes down below 103 tomorrow, then that's also another indication that we're probably going to see a prolonged correction here. And again, price action, I think, could very easily come down to the very low 90s. If that occurs. Until then, like I said, upside still the more likely direction. And, all of the targets that we spoke about before that are essentially relevant by mid/end of February are still active. And, that's basically 120, 130, 140, if you want to just make it super easy. Or actually, sorry, I adjust that 120, a little bit above 120. Then you got 140, and then I think it was like around 160 or 155, whatever it was. Those are the three major ones that I kind of have my eyes on that I'm looking for on a major top. Anyways, so we've got that. Again, if Dixie comes down here, which I think it very likely will, I think that provides, of course, a tailwind for Bitcoin. Duh. And seeing as we haven't actually gone over the price statistics per day in a while now, I did want to point out that Wednesday, slightly in favor of negative closure since 2024 began. It is interesting to me, however, that during the times when we have seen positive closing Wednesdays, it's had essentially tied for the first highest positive return. So, if there is going to be a potential breakout, I suppose today, it might try. Of course, to the downside, we do typically see about 184 on average shaved off for those negative closures. So Bitcoin, again, does want to play back down to like 104. That would essentially fulfill that wick there. I don't think Bitcoin's going much lower than that today, if it even goes there at all. And then, of course, if Bitcoin does want to close the day green, your average returns at 330, like 30% for those green closing Wednesdays would put Bitcoin at I mean, it would put Bitcoin at new all-time highs at about 109, essentially 110,000 bucks. I mean, it's right fucking there. It's right fucking there. It's a little bit below 110,000, but you know, it does suggest that, hey, it wouldn't be that crazy to see on a day like today. And of course, if Bitcoin were to even play out something like that, I think that would be a signal in and of itself, you know, because Bitcoin would be trading back above that Monday wick high. And well, that, I mean, there's only so many times it can stab above this region and not actually lead to a mega massive fucking breakout where all bearish bungholes get impaled on the bullish dingus. But in this case, you know, it's going to be a long day. I expect there's probably going to be some politically motivated things going on in the background that are going to be a catalyst for price action. So unfortunately, we have to actually play that game as of right now. But remember the very, very important regions. 100,000, that's the major line in the sand. And even maybe tomorrow below 103, that would also be kind of a major concerning factor for me for a much more prolonged correction with price action probably down to the very low 90s. I still think that would be an opportunity and very likely we see a bounce there. But hey, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Until then, I remain bullish, still looking up and to the right. Hopefully this was in some way helpful. As always, I want to let you know that if you find this content in some way valuable, consider liking and subscribing so that you can get these videos each and every day. If you don't, then don't. But make sure to leave a comment letting me know. Anyways, that's going to do it for me today. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.